This game was released in 1995 for Windows computers. It was released by 3DO, which is known for the failure with the 3DO gaming system. An MMORPG game from a first person who was overtaking the market for 3 years. The game had interesting features like crafting, magic schools, and player versus player battles. Players were also able to trade, join guilds, and fight for lands. What more can you expect from an MMORPG? It was released in 1996 by a Korean company Nexon, and that is mainly when they started to conquer the MMO games industry. The game has a lot of features such as woodcutting and mining. We can say this is where RuneScape got the idea of multi-skills from. I'm just saying. The game was launched in 1995 by Sierra Online. Perfect, fully 2D animated game with great color attracted gamers from all around the world. In my opinion, this is the first MMO game that was easy to master and play, and that is why it was so popular back in the days. The game had features like house customization, which allows you to decorate your room and even the garden by placing different items on the floor, walls, and the ceilings. This game was released in 1992 and it ran on the Sierra network. In order to play the game, people had to pay $120 a month, which back in the days was a crucial amount of money and not many people could afford such a thing, but it had this small community. The game had the standard features like character stat customization, appearance customization. Players were able to change the character's face and clothes, although it appeared only on the avatar. In order to increase the level of the character, players had to surf through dungeons and kill different animals. Air Warrior was an early multiplayer game as players could battle each other with flying virtual fighter planes. The game was first introduced in 1986 and ran on the Genie network. In 1993 the game was revised to run over the internet. Although the internet version of the game came out a little bit later than the Shadow or Cerberus, I decided to put it here because the game itself was released in 1986, so it's kinda battle of the facts and people can argue whenever this MMO came before or after the Shadow of Cerberus. Gemstone 4 is a multiplayer text-based online role-playing video game, often known as the MUD, produced by Simultronics. Players control characters in a high fantasy game world named Elanthea. The first playable version of the game was known as Gemstone and it was launched in April 1988 on Genie Networks. It was one of the first MMORPGs and is one of the longest running online games still active. Although the game was text-based, it was not available to play it in the browser, which means that players had to download the client. The first graphical MMORPG was Neverwinter Nights by designer Don Daglow and programmer Catherine Mataga. Neverwinter Nights went live on AOL for PC owners in 1991 and ran through 1997. This project was personally championed and greenlighted by LOL president Steve Case. Neverwinter Nights cost $6 per hour to play. It is counted as a graphical MMORPG, but don't think that there were a lot of graphics in it. First released in 1988, the game allowed users to create their own customized characters. They were able to do various things like shopping, adventuring, selling, and mostly socializing. This game is very similar to a more popular nowadays game, Second Life. It carries the same plot. Although the game had a great idea, it failed to make profit. Probably the problem was that Habitat was aimed at a large amount of audience, which they simply couldn't find. The first commercial MMORPG was Island of Kesmai, designed by Kelton Flynn and John Taylor. This game became available in 1985 for $12 per hour via the CompuServe online service and supported up to 100 players. Somewhat an MMO that had no graphical units, but it had text and symbols representing in-game items such as treasures, doors and walls. The game was not very popular due to high per hour prices. I mean $12 per hour. Who will pay for this? It's insane. Client-server network play released in 1977 and ran on the APRANET cannot be considered as an MMO due to only one-to-one player until the internet play was released. This made it available to be played across the modern internet in 1996, and that is when it became an MMO. People may argue that Island of Kesmei was the first MMO, which can be right, but I made it was first because the game itself was released in 1977 and it was possible to play it on the APRANET with support of multiple users.